Nils Leonard, welcome back to Behind the Billboard.
Thanks. Lovely to see you both.
Lovely to see you. So a bit of a milestone today because it's our first ever returning guest, which we're honoured about.
The sequel, our first sequel.
Yeah, and we're doing it in person. So we did, for our long-term listeners, many moons ago. I'm in the loft. You're in deepest...
In Hampshire somewhere.
And Nils is probably... I don't know where you were, in lockdown in the house.
Yeah, in my dodgy little room in Crouch End.
Yeah.
Near there, yeah.
And I remember thinking, at the time we were going, fucking hell, Uncommon's going really well. Nils is doing brilliant. And then that seems like small fry now to where you are now. So like
the trajectory,
yeah, it's been fucking amazing.
Really
so
kind, thank you.
We're chuffed to have you on.
Thanks. You said you're 170 people?
Yeah, 170 people now. Yeah, almost 6. We're 6 in November the 5th, our birthday. So we're 6.
Wow. So actually, that goes straight into our question. So, how is life?
It's good.
Uncommon? Yeah?
It's really good. It's a lot of fun.
Looks like it.
I was saying to someone the other day for the first time, I sort of feel very much like we used to have our heads down and just be worried about it all going wrong. And now that's not the case. Now we're like, Christ, okay, how do we smash it? I'm feeling different pressures, I suppose. I feel like we're finally getting the briefs we dreamt about, and now my terror is not making them as good as I wish I could, and all that other weird shit. But we're all really good, man. We're very grateful for it all.
It looks. I mean, from us, it looks great. It does remind me a bit of Mother when they started and they got bigger and they got like bits like Coke, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, they're gonna mess it up, and they didn't, and it just kept going, and that's how it feels with you when you got BA. I mean, obviously we're huge fans of it because it's a brilliant campaign, but it's a brilliant outdoor. Thanks. You're kind of going, right, what's going to happen there then? Like BA is normally those big fat like Ogilvy's and Saatchi's. It's like, got a little like Uncommon going to do something, but I felt you did it in a really nice. It had a bit of both. Classic, great thought, but then the fun was in all the detail, those lines. Sorry, I'm getting my hands into some weird little shape here. But yeah, so it's
thanks.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, dare we ask Nils what he feels about AI already, or should we just fucking pass that?
No. And in fact, because I'm sure this is coming out this Friday. This episode.
It's going to be a quickie, isn't it?
Yeah. Pre-can, which is good.
So I'm playing
what are you doing?
Cushion. What are you doing? I forgot I got quite bad back, so I have to have a little cushion. It's so embarrassing.
You're going to blow that up on air.
You were going to have to let's just stop.
No, I'm going to be talking. You're just going to. We're going to wait here.
Just going to have a drink.
He's going bright red as well.
It's actually a blurred version of John Jones because we're missing him. John's our tech guy, so John, that's a picture of you. Right,
and last week, I think was it last week? Your campaign article.
No,
drum.
The drum.
Drum. Sorry,
drum.
Sorry,
the drum.
Yeah, sorry, drum.
Loosely about AI. Do you want to talk? Should we talk about it now? And
yeah, we can do. Yeah,
it was good. It was really. I was like punching the ceiling last night when I was reading it.
Do you know there were notes? There were notes from I gave a speech at Adweek,
right? And
I was in a rush, and usually I'd try to memorise it so I look clever, and I didn't. So I just wrote. I wrote the notes.
Well, it felt like that, yeah.
And then I thought afterward, well, the notes are almost all right, so why don't I try and just get them published? And thought the drum. I had a really good chat with Amy there before, and I said like, well, why don't we just ask those guys if they want to publish it? It just dawned on me like we were giving all these speeches about it all, and I don't know. I've been wanging on for ages that the ad industry's in trouble. Our whole positioning, the woods are burning, and all that other stuff that you've been bored of is rooted really in the threat we're all facing, and yet no one seems to listen. And then I think like nature does this for you. It sends something to kill something that's meant to be changed, whether you believe in my sentiments or not. I think AI is that thing.
Yeah.
And I think there's a very simple question, which is, if you removed creativity from your business, literally, would you continue to make money? And I think half our industry would. I think they would, because they sell time, they sell data, they sell integration, they sell synergy, they sell consistency, they sell content, logistics, whatever. And so as a result, I think that's fine, but I think that's not the same thing as creativity. And so previously where I was like, hearing creatives like us whinging about the fact, I can't sell this idea, knowing the majority of agencies don't actually sell it. So why would they come to you for it? I think AI has come along and is just going to murder us at that. It's going to murder the poor and the crap and the fast side of our business.
Yeah.
And it's only going to leave the people that can make the biggest difference. That's all it's going to do, because it can't do that.
Yeah.
You think it's a positive thing for
I think it's brilliant. Yeah. I mean, look, it's awful because I do think some people are going to lose their jobs, right? So to some degree, I don't want to make light of that. But I think if you believe in our industry, in what it really is about, if you believe in the power of radical creativity. If you look at the world and go, by creativity, you mean things that can make a meaningful impact in our lives, things we remark on, things we'll share, things that will move us, all the above. I think it's an amazing thing for us because I think it's literally going to change our industry. We're going to become specialists again. We're going to become needed, not just sort of these client services, factories.
And if you think of it as a tool, right, and how our tools have changed over time, and certainly in outdoor, although we had a mural special very recently, and which will go out just after Cannes, where we're talking about painting murals again, painting walls rather than printing and pixels and stuff. When you think about how the industry's changed on the outdoor side, and our tools have changed, this is just another tool to aid our creativity. It's just another Photoshop. It's just another.
Yeah, but it's fast. But make no mistake, it will. For all the talk of it being a tool, and it is a tool, some people embrace it and use it really well and all the above. There is a side of AI that will, though, just, if you were one of those companies making 30 quid an asset for social, and that was how you were making your millions, you are fucked. Because it's going to change that.
I was trying to tell my neighbour about it because I was leant over the fence last night and chatting about what you're up to and all that, and I very quickly drifted into this, and I went, that kind of makes sense. You go, if you've got a big fat retail account and you're going, just churning, you go, oh yeah, just churn that shit out. We give it to Simon and Pete down the corridor, or, sorry to anyone who's called Simon and Pete, by the way, that's fucking rude.
Every place has had a Simon and Pete.
to X and Y down the corridor. Or you go, just put it straight into design or something. Suddenly you're right, you're going, that will go. Because that is, I actually love writing those shitty little things, because there's still you can still have a bit of fun with a line or a thing. But you're right, that will probably go. But then, to your point a bit, to both your points, sorry, it makes it even more important about the creative, because you can't, that's what my neighbour was saying. He was saying, but surely that makes the point even sharper.
There's a huge concern about AI across kind of brand safety and all that kind of stuff right now, because AI is only as good as what it's learned, right? And so there's discussions about it being inherent, because it reads the internet, being inherently bigoted, biased, it's homophobic, it's racist, it's sexist. There's a huge concern about it from the brands, and they're all trying to understand how it's going to aid them. And you would imagine that some of those big brands will have their AI departments writing their brand Bibles and writing their brand stories and trying to train their own AI bots to do some of that kind of below the line stuff that churns out, rather than farming it to agencies at, like you said, 30 quid an asset, and it should be trained to speak brand, and that's it.
But then the trouble is, because without sounding like a complete cock, creativity is about breaking the rules and all that. So you go, teach this thing, and you're going, there's your brand book, or there's your whatever, and you're going, but that's fucked, isn't it?
I was about to say, it depends what you really value. If you want a brand book made because it's on your list, then ask AI. If you want a brand book made because you want it to transform your relationship as an employer brand and double the output of your employees and attract better people, then you can never ask AI to do it. You're absolutely right, it's learning from the internet, but Midjourney looks the same. And you can ask Midjourney for a tank with, Babs Windsor's head on, and you can ask it for a bunch of diverse teens watching a basketball match. And somehow the grade is the same. And that's the truth of AI, is that the things it churns out are going to be an amalgamation of everything. Therefore, they're going to be middle. They're always going to be middle. They're never going to be new. So ultimately, if you say we're in the remit of new and original and challenging and creativity and all the above, not everybody is, by the way, then you'll be okay. But I think that's a hard way to live, though. And I think there's a bunch of us, by the way, who've spent the last 15 years making their money, stood on stages giving speeches, not making their money that way. Making their money from the easier stuff. They've just monetized it. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think media agencies are going to be in trouble. I think anywhere that just relies on that kind of tech, they'll get a handle on it. And some people, by the way, are going to be staggeringly rich as a result of it. But I think a lot of people who maybe won't be. So I think that's going to be.
What makes you think the media agencies will be in trouble? Is it
because they've become
intelligent planning and all?
I think more and more, man. I don't know if you agree, but I think more and more you've lost those middle. Here we go. Fucking hell!
Unbelievable.
Go on, get it out. Come on.
I didn't think it was going to make that noise.
Come on, get it out. I've emptied my glass. I've done it.
I've got 4 tins of Stella here. We're going to get on it. No. It has actually homemade elderflower, right? And so that's for soda. Okay. I'm just going to pull it over. I'm going to have to get the glug in because this is an audio platform we're on. This is so pathetic.
What do I do?
Oh, it's not a very good portion now.
Well, no, do I just drink this in?
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, there's no alcohol in it. It's basically a refreshing drink, a summer's drink. And I picked the elderflowers the other day.
That is
it good?
Really nice.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to say it's really nice, but it is really bloody
it's
nice.
really good.
It is amazing.
Anyway, back to media agencies dying.
Fuck, yeah, sorry. It was a bit sweet. You might want to dilute it a bit.
I think it's lovely. Thank you.
Right.
No, I don't think they're going to die. I just think there's a lack of the middle. So there used to be creative media agencies who would consult using all of their radical thinking and all the above to say, pop up here or pop up here. More and more and more, the ones that make the major dough are taking money and using data and systems to quantify media eyeballs and all the above. I think that's just going to peak and peak and peak until there'll be one or two people who do it best. And that's like an arms race. So the creativity in that industry is going to radically change, I think.
Yeah.
And you might have specialists in between it. Yeah, completely.
It's interesting. I said to you earlier on that I'm on a panel next week at Cannes with Andy from Publicis Le Truc. And I caught up with him last week and we were talking about the way that their new model, this is the Centre of Excellence at Publicis, right?
Right.
So they're kind of piecing back together media and creative and having them working together. And so it's Mad Men of old, right? It's where the media department is down the corridor, not down the street. So they're working closer together to try and humanize some of that stuff and to make sure that creative and media are working far closer together. That was me, sorry. And I think that's what I think we're going to see happen. Certainly at those big network agencies where they've got media and creative separate at the moment, with more technology coming to play for the media agencies, they're going to start having to be a bit more craft, and that means aligning themselves closer to
possibly
creative.
I don't know if geography is the answer anymore. I mean, I used to love the idea that I'd love to know how many of us really have been got in the way of by a media agency. When have you ever, I mean it though, when have you ever really gone to a client and gone, we want to do this fucking amazing thing, and the client's gone, that is absolutely amazing, and then media agencies said no. Does that really happen? It doesn't. And arguably someone will say, well, no, but they'll have already booked a load of things that are really conventional. You're like, okay, I don't know. All our relationships are fluid enough, and the clients and the media agencies are respectful enough of our thinking that that's not been a barrier. So I don't know if that's a first world problem.
I've certainly heard it used as an excuse before.
Yeah, well, that's different.
Maybe where we are in fun.
That's kind of different, right? That's kind of different.
Yeah.
The harder thing is, I don't know. In our experience, the harder thing is to get clients or anybody to put their hand in their pocket and find major money for something that literally isn't on a media laydown or can't give you quantifiable results. Things we know are going to be famous. So things like the 1 second suit for H&M.
Yeah.
How do you get them to commit to use their footprint, their radius, their stores, their people, all of which was, I'm sure, a massive headache in order to do that idea.
And what does it take? Does that just take someone really brave on client side, or does it take someone amazing on your side, or is it a mixture
bit of both? I'm a bit sure. I mean, in my experience, it takes a burning need for some sort of change on the client side, more than someone amazing. It takes a sense of, I'm more scared of what will happen if we stay like we are than I am of what will happen if we try something new. And all our clients tend to share that sentiment. They tend to come in that moment of change going, we've got to do something.
It's like sort of don't waste a good recession, isn't it?
And is that from the moment that they're in your building? Are they coming to you for that?
Most of them, most of the best ones. We ask them why they're there. Most agencies don't, by the way. This is another pet hate of mine. Like, no, I remember being back at Grey just trying to win everything in pitches, and I would never say, why did you come see us? I'd always say, thanks so much for coming. I can't wait to show your stuff. And blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And at Uncommon, we say, why are you here? Very first question, why have you come see us? And a great meeting will start with, because I saw B&Q or because I saw, whatever, because it will give me an understanding that they know what we do for a start and they might want what we make. It's when the guys go, well, I was looking on your website and I quite like some of your work. I was like, well, you weren't looking on my website because my website has none of our work on it. Yeah. It has a bouncing flag on it. So that stuff's kind of revealing.
I remember as a creative, that was you'd say, it's still the same now, isn't it? Go and look at the work you like, find out who does it, and then go and work for them.
Yeah,
and work for, the other thing was you're not actually working for the name. It's the creative director. So that was a kind of a bit weird one for me. So I remember going, I'm going to go and work at BBH or Saatchi's. Go, no, you're working for Hegarty or you're working for Droga. Yeah. And that is a difference.
100%. And it's true with clients, by the way.
Yeah.
Like brands can be very sexy, but we spent a bit of time chasing brands that we just wished we worked with. And it's like, honestly, man, it's like begging to be punished. That's sort of a bit what it's like, because you're like, fucking, why isn't this working? You're like, oh yeah, because I had a complete fantasy.
Yeah.
You know?
But do you find that with your recruit? So you're 170 people now. You found that with your recruitment, that your ads that are out on the streets, they're obviously doing well socially and physically on the street. Are they a great advert for the agency?
Huge, man. I mean, I love, a guy I was telling you, one of our creative directors said the reason he came to Uncommon was the B&Q work, the out of home. And
Such great.
Yeah, it was wicked.
Advert, isn't it?
It was
Better
wicked.
than any job advert.
Can I say, it's like that's perfect, isn't it? I said, did you agree to do that?
No.
Because I'm about going, right, we've got to talk about B&Q. What? So B&Q.
We haven't got to. We could talk about AI.
What a story. Would it be to say these are one of your core clients? Sorry. Would it be fair to say they're one of your core clients?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, good.
Massive client for us.
I mean, I think everyone has I heard someone say the other day that, agencies have to treat clients as equals, all of them, exactly. But there's a point at which you go, these guys are like the flagship, or I remember at BBH when they started, they had Audi, and they created the Audi Day Out because it was in homage to that.
Yeah.
So I was looking over our previous posts and actually our previous chat with you, and it was like, there's Brewdog and there's Habito and stuff like that, but B&Q was right in there. Yeah.
I think all our clients, not all our clients, actually, that's not true. I think the best of our clients, big or small, have taught other clients of a certain mindset that we're the place to come. And if you think about what B&Q did for us, I don't know, but you remember let's go back like 10 years. There is no way a company like Uncommon would have won a B&Q.
No.
You'd have had to have been an engine or a fucking, I don't know, some immense, monolithic, ridiculous. Same with BA. Yeah. And I don't think BA would have come if we hadn't done B&Q. And I look at B&Q and Paddy and Graham and that whole crew and the faith they put in us to do that, it was huge.
I wanted to read this actually, just because going to the beginning. You can do it. Has never been a more powerful thought. The idea that you can build a room, a house, a life. Uncommon are proud to partner B&Q in their mission to help everyone build the life they want. Fucking hell, that's cool. And that's that. That's the beginning. So we were chatting on, obviously we love the work, but you kind of go, was that a special moment when you got that? And then you started doing, these films and these posters. It just reinvents the whole category, right?
Yeah, it was nuts. It was really good. But also there was a faith there to let go of lots of stuff they'd been doing that perhaps they'd proven had worked or not. Toby, the planner on it, actually, to be fair, landed on Build a Life. Because our thing was, you can do it. Okay, it was brilliant. But the whole world thinks you can do it means put up a wall. You can do it, put a nail in a wall. And we were like, no, we have to land on you can do it, something far bigger, far more potent.
What's Toby's full name, sorry?
Toby Duncan. He's our head of strategy.
Great. No, it is. You're right, because I keep thinking of, obviously, like that other line with the word it at the end, and it feels that's about energy and speed and shit and getting stuff done, whereas this is like, I'm looking at a shed and it says peace, right? So just indulge me for a minute. I've got a shit shed. And I wanted to just give it a little bit of a makeover. And the girls, I've got two girls, 19 and 17, she's going, why'd you do that? Why would you do that when you could go on holiday with mum?
Where else am I going to masturbate?
Yes, we got to masturbation. Sorry, girls. Sorry, Rach. No, I haven't actually done that, but I've done other things in my shed.
Sorry.
You kind of get my brother. But you kind of go.
It's the only place in the house who's allowed to watch Man United football.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it's like that kind of thing. You're going, because no disrespect to teenage girls, but they don't know that a shed is a place of peace.
That's right.
And then you move on. I'm trying to write a novel at the moment. Oh, wow. Nearly finished. Any publishers out there, please come and knock on my door. I used this expression about someone in the park who had been digging and she had a rest and she felt good tired. And again, I thought, I know that, but I did think, this is great. I remember seeing this thinking, that's a story, isn't it? It's a life story. It's not like Spades, $14.99, before the end of March, but
But all of these come from a place of great insight, don't they?
Yeah.
This is...
Yeah, but
if you were to interview the gardening generation, this is
really kind, but the truth as well is that if you're trying to find great insights like in the car market, there's lots have been done. No one has done this here.
No.
So I know it sounds weird, like we're chuffed with the work, but it dawned on me that no one had ever done it. That whole category is devoid of deeper thinking. It was literally like, if you want to dig a hole, buy a spade, get another bit of wood free, here's a guy on a travelator.
Not the emotional benefit.
No.
Yeah.
Or even the feeling you get around it.
Yeah.
Some of it was more just a vibe.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But there was that feeling of achievement and having done something and then looking at it and you're going, it's all there. And that's why I think this of all the it's sort of category changing, but in the right way. It's not stunty or, clever. It's just what it is. And like you say, why hasn't it been done before? I mean, we're sort of skipping through them. We've got Build a Life, Teenagers.
It's my favourite one, Teenagers. Yeah.
Black Paint, which again, we talked, I don't think we were recording, were we? But the way that, what is this? How old is this? It must be about 4 years ago.
4 years ago, yeah.
So I don't know if you started it intentionally on this campaign or another one, but we were saying how Uncommon put their posters and their out of home in situ, and then they PR it in situ, and you don't ever send an artwork. So boring. I think I wanged on about this before, but I keep saying that to people when we're showing the work. Put it in, So then it's that thing, isn't it? Dave Dye used to talk about put the press ad next to the other stuff and see how it feels. What's going on? Is it drifting? Is it getting invisible, or is it like? Yeah. And this was. But there is also that bridge. There's one bridge which everyone started using.
Oh, the one on Shoreditch by the bike shed. Yeah. I know
everyone started comping their posters onto it. It's like,
mate, honestly, the moment I saw someone else use that bridge, I sent a team of photographers out that weekend. I was like, right, you got to give me some.
Give me some more sites.
Get me some that no one's fucking got, please.
But so do you? Sorry, to that point, it's quite interesting, actually, to both of you, because do you then go, right, Uncommon are going to own photographs of sites that you're going to have, or do you, when you're sort of dealing with people, is there because on the internet, you type in, you go, 48 sheet, and then I shittily try and drop stuff on, but I can't do angles.
It's difficult for us at Grand Visual because we're attached to Talon, and for the most part, if the plan has a specific format on, then we're going to the library to find something that's going on that specific format, and that's because we've got creative and media working together.
We're quite ferocious about it all, in that I know there's a site in Glasgow I always want. I know that's the one you saw, the big Build a Life one, and that's in
we'll go back to Build a Life, sorry.
The big where's it gone? That one.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple, you just know are good. And I'm like, I've started requesting them now for all our clients, like BA similarly. I'm like, oh, where are you getting? Because you know if it lands there, it's going to travel. So
is that one the same?
Yeah.
So we're looking at
We Will Grow Again.
We Will Grow Again. There's one also.
That was coming out of lockdown, wasn't it, that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's go through actually. So we did talk quite a bit about the first one. The other thing,
before we move on from that one, so we talked very, very briefly about B&Q. So B&Q had them for four and a bit years.
Yeah.
And that work has led. Do you feel like that work has led to other clients coming on board?
100%.
Certainly, those big ones.
100%.
It will always be that seminal moment in the agency's history of like doing something different.
Well, I think it's
B&Q leads to more work.
I mean, honestly, I think it's done loads of stuff. I think it told people that we could handle someone big, because whatever you say, there's still a weird thing around new companies where people assume for one reason or another you're not ready, or they want to assume that. And so I think
they don't look at the year's experience.
No,
in the room.
They don't go, you're 25 years in the industry, you can probably do this. They just go, your company's 1 year old. And I think it told them that, but I also think the work we made on it, I think, with some of our most populist stuff as well. I think it was like, I quite like being divisive, and I don't think this work was divisive. I think this work was
very inclusive.
I think as a creative,
everyone could relate.
I think because there's so many things you can do with B&Q products, and they have money, and so they could have just gone, just three executions would be nice. And I think for me, it's that creative. When you got, was it Tim Delaney once said, if you got a campaign, there's never ending amount of ideas, rather than that difficult third idea. It's going, fuck off. There should just be like loads, and that's what it made me. I just want to see more.
You know the deal there as well, which is there's a learnt behaviour now in the world as well, not just in our industry. I think where people go, oh, that's one of those campaigns. And they start, and by the way, the only way they know that is if you tell them. So if you do lots of something, they go, oh, that's one of those campaigns. And so I remember saying to the client, like, these are wicked. And they were like, yeah, but aren't some of them more important? Isn't it important to get repetition, all that stuff? And I was like, to some degree, we are getting repetition for the brand. But we made 18 in the end. And we were like, right, let's just hammer them out. And suddenly that energy, by the way, the body language of it, I think also really helped the brand.
Yeah, because makes it look agile.
Yeah, it makes it look quick and modern and reactive.
Well,
and
following up on that, so I want to, before
that one, by the way, I just need to tell you,
photos look better on the wall than they do on a phone.
Yeah, the logo's in the middle. I wanted it range left with the type, and we had an argument for 2 days about that.
Okay, while we're down there, So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask, Build a Life. So you go, big poster, launch it, Build a Life. Then why didn't that drop down to be the end, or did they insist on you can do it? It was because you can't have two end lines. Well,
No,
some people do. Some people have fucking loads. Was there a debate about that?
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
And I mean, it's neat like that.
You can do it is I think too iconic to give up on.
Yeah.
And I think our whole task was to make sense of it.
So the work portrayed, it's the doing rather than the saying.
Yes.
Of the
Well,
work. Yeah.
what can you do? You can build a life. That's our thing.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the game.
And my last bit on
So
this.
sorry, you wanted the logo bottom right.
No, I wanted it bottom left. See the
You
type?
wanted it
I
bottom
wanted
left.
it all awkward, all on the left, like everything was on the wall. And I was like, just do it on that one. It will be awkward and weird and brilliant. And literally it was 2 fucking days. And so that's the one they ran. I was like, it makes my eye twitch looking at it.
It does look a little like a phone though, which is all right.
Oh, okay.
But it's on the rest of them.
Yeah.
The other thing I loved about it, and we'll move on to flowers in a minute, but so the final page, which has got every ad on it, brilliantly art directed in themselves, but then brilliantly put together. And I shamelessly ripped it off when I was at the BBC. I did all these posters for The Apprentice, and I was going, "You've got to fucking do it like this," and no one had seen it. And then I started feeling like, "Oh, I did this." Like, clearly didn't. So please,
At least you're honest.
say to your art director or whoever did it. But it started making me think again. It's just like one page pitch on a page, like calling card, and it's fucking great, isn't it? Yeah. When you look at that.
We're going to look at some more B&Q work. Did you keep the same team on B&Q throughout?
Some of them. So Josh was a consistent member of that team in some of it, and then not really. The teams that wrote it were different. I mean, I'd say myself, Josh, Toby on the majority of it. Lately, no, it was Sam Walker and a few other people, and it's moved around quite a bit. But I think mainly the consistent people are probably myself, Tobes, and
did you that thing in a creative department when you get your sexy briefs? Has it become the sexy brief?
Yeah, it's good. And this is a brilliant question, because I think we say this at Uncommon, and maybe other places say it, I don't know, but we like to say we don't have any passenger clients. And by that, there is no clients that the Pete and Daves, or whatever you said they were called, down the road.
X and Y, sorry, Pete and Dave.
But we don't have any clients where we go, oh, that just keeps the lights on. And whenever anyone kind of rolls their eyes, or it doesn't happen a lot, but whenever anyone goes, really, I go, well, B&Q. I'm like, what, and if you can make good work, touching wood, on B&Q, well, then you can do it on absolutely any brand. There is no excuse to say, well, that's one of those and that's sexy and that isn't. Yeah. And that goes back to that chat about new business, which is everybody we take on, we make sure they want what we do. Because the way you wake up and you're making bad work is because you won a client who doesn't want what you want to make.
Yeah.
And that includes your process of maintaining those clients as well. So your client service at that point becomes vitally important.
Yeah, we don't like to use that word.
It's a thing though, right?
Well, sort of. I mean, we call it partnership, which is they seek us out for our view of the world. Okay. And if our view of the world aligns with theirs, then we'll make brilliant work for them. Yeah. And I think that's really what it's about. And if they come and what often happens is a client comes and goes, we want a good idea. And what they mean by good idea and what the agency mean by good idea are radically different things. But the agency wants to win. So the agency will do whatever it does to win. And then the agency will say 3 months later, we want you to do this incredible, brave poster. And they'll say, that's not why I came. Mm-hmm. Whereas at our place, we're like, well, we don't consider this brave. We consider this the route to market. And if you want people to reappraise your brand and develop a new energy and love and affinity for B&Q again, well, then run this work. And that they were completely aligned. So there wasn't a chat around whether it was brave. It was just a chat around.
And because you've done that pre-qualification during that onboarding process, they're aligned with you as you go.
That's why I'm saying it's critical, and no one does it, man. Yeah, I know it sounds incredibly stupid for me to say that nobody does it. Which is, if the very first chat you have is disingenuous, i.e., we just want to win you. Yeah. Then how on earth can you hope to go back and make it their fault, by the way, that they didn't run the thing you wanted? Yeah. How can that be their fault?
If you're subservient from the start and just trying to win the business, then you're just going to be doing that all the way through your relationship.
And agencies think, and I remember this feeling, I've got one up on them, I'm going to win them anyway. You're not going to win them anyway. What you're doing is you're convincing someone to give you their business, and then you're going to be annoyed in about 3 months when they don't buy the work you want to make. You're only fucking you. That's the only person getting screwed here.
Yeah. It's hard as well, because I imagine at times when times are hard, or at the beginning, and but I suppose you set up on principles, you stick to them. But then if you're thinking, shit, where
no, we had a great lesson, man. We got really lucky. So we had a standing start. We were being sued. A big West Coast client came in the very first 2 weeks, and they said, we've got, I think it was like £500,000 fee. And I was like, oh my God, we're saved. Brilliant. And they were like, it's a B2B brief for businesses. And I was like, well, we've done good work on businesses. We can do a bit of that. 2 weeks in, they haven't bought any of our thinking. Lucy and I are kicking the shit out of each other, you know. And I was just like, right, we got to walk away. This is not why we spent a year waiting and built Uncommon to do this. This is not it. And we knew it. So we walked away thinking, you know, it was the right thing, but also thinking shit. And the next day after we told them we weren't going to proceed, we got a phone call from Ovo, who made the ad with Slayer on and all that other stuff. And it proved, it was like the universe and luck.
And they called you.
They called us and went, we read your press release and campaign. Right. Is that all true? All that guff? And we said yes. And then we made that ad. And I was like, looking back, I was like, my God, the first thing we could have made was some dodgy banner ads for Facebook. Or we could have made, you know, that. And I look back and think that's the only lesson. So we were lucky to be taught that so early. Yeah. But everything else is applied. Yeah. You know, and we've said goodbye to clients that aren't that. Because I genuinely do believe that the universe loves a gap. So if you remove those clients, others will come that are more right for you.
That's interesting. Universe loves a gap. I like that.
Well, it does, yeah.
Can we, quick question on, because we did a launch campaign. We're looking at flowers now.
Yeah.
And I was racking my brain and wrote to Lex. I wasn't sure if we'd got them all because there were less of these. Is that right?
There were less.
All I've got is that. But I've done a bit of a shit search.
Have you got Junglist Massive? Come on.
I was listening on that on the way down. No.
We did Junglist Massive, which was a bit of a lols. We did about 6 or 7 of these.
Okay, we'll find them. We'll find them. But was it from their point of view to go, you know, like say it's time of the pandemic, you know, and it's sort of spring, I suppose. Is it go right? Fuck all that other, you know, fuck the building bit. Let's build, but with plants and colour. Was that a strategic thing from them or from you? Or?
So no, it was. Well, we were. I think all of Uncommon's best work feels like it's an ad for the time as well as an ad for the category. So The Guardian, arguably, with Hope is Power at a similar sort of time, was during the Brexit and during the, you know, election, all the above. And we were like, God, we wanted to believe in a more hopeful world. And frankly, that was an ad for The Guardian, but it was also an ad for us.
Yeah.
I think We Will Grow Again was slightly the same. And spring is like their Christmas. So if other retailers, you know, like John Lewis and everyone have Christmas, B&Q have spring, like that's when you go to B&Q and you smash it, you buy your stuff and you go. So we're like, right, we'll go big. But we were literally, that was when we were all coming out. And if you believe all that guff I said about the ability to not just buy a home, but build one, to, you know, that every little thing you add to it makes it yours and makes it more meaningful, then we were like, fuck me, this is the time we can plant. We can go outside. You know, we can remove fear, man. We were scared. You forget people were fucking guys. We were scared. Yeah. Literally scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it was a really weird time. So I look at that poster now and I'm a bit like, it's a bit odd, isn't it? A bunch of flowers, We Will Grow Again. And I think it is of its time. But I look back and go, I remember putting that up, being madly proud, going, what a fucking statement.
Yeah. It's
good. And what,
I was talking to someone at the weekend about the effect that those 2 years had on kids. So my kids were at primary school.
How old are your kids?
So I've got a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 2-year-old.
Right, yeah.
You've been busy.
Sorry, I've been busy for the last 2 years. Yeah, the older ones kind of look after themselves now a bit. But for those older two, when we were going through those lockdowns and they were missing school, and you know, it's just kind of constant for them. It's like their World War II, right?
Yeah,
It's that damaging to them psychologically. And so when you look back at these ads and the other ads that we saw kind of post-pandemic, they are of a time, and I think you have to have been through it to understand what was happening at that time. So they're tactical, right? So it's something that outdoor is famed for. Those ads were relevant to an audience at a particular time, and I think that's...
Well, I think outdoor as well. I love that I felt like you guys spotted it with the invention of this series, but I think outdoor has swung to being one of our most important and critical media. I remember, you know, bodies a bit like yours used to go and give speeches at agencies about, you should do more outdoor. Do you remember when telly was the thing? Now it's like, I think we all know. I think if you do a great poster in any period of time that chimes with culture, it's somehow far more immortal now than a TV ad. Yeah. They kind of come and go now. Yeah. Whereas I think these things, you know, you see a great poster and you'll be like, fuck, that's like burnt into my eyeballs, like a magazine cover.
Yeah.
And they live on beyond the poster as well, because they get socialised.
I know it's not just outdoor that B&Q have done. Like the TV is brilliant. The upside down thing is fantastic.
Oh yeah, flip.
Yeah.
The upside down thing, that's so derogatory. Sorry. And then the launch film and the hammer. So, you know, we're obviously here on a thing about billboards, but it does feel like that is a really good home for B&Q on a billboard.
Yeah.
So, was that a Whitting thing? Is that?
Yeah, no, they're national, man. It's scale.
Yeah.
Like I
Right.
assume your scale. I think we love working with brands, particularly big brands. You know, we worked out the other day that we work with 4 of the top 10 UK brands. Now, that would have arguably been the staple of, you know, a massive network.
Imagine saying that 5 years ago.
No, I know, it's bonkers.
Yeah,
it's bonkers. But I think part of that is hopefully because we assert not like dominance or any of that bullshit, but we assert their place in the world in a way that doesn't feel wrong.
Yeah.
And I think B&Q are a national, you know, 65,000 employees or something, you know, every city has one. They're where you go, you know, they are a national staple. And I think that's what Out of Home's really good at.
It just seemed to fit in a kind of, I don't know, kind of busy going around seeing stuff, doing things rather than hidden.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny when you look at I mean, look, we like all the mediums, but we love outdoor. But whenever I think now of press or digital or something, it feels like I have to go and find it or be in it a bit. Whereas outdoor is like there. Yeah. And when I say outdoor, I don't just mean just posters, because we love murals. I love just fronts of buildings or shit like that. You know, just stuff you go, oh, that's
I've got a great
cool.
quote for you. So I went and saw, this is slightly adjacent, but you can nick it. I saw Thomas Heatherwick, who I greatly admire. He's a brilliant designer, architect, all the above. He did the Olympic torch and you know.
Yeah.
He said this great thing we were wanging on, and he was listening to me tell him about everything, and he went, oh, it's really interesting. He holds up my phone and he goes, you know, you're you know, arguably, Nils, you're quite good at getting noticed on here. And he's got the phone in his hand, you know, and trying to be beautiful on here and trying to be seen here. And he said, but look out the window. He said, that's where I play out there. Wow. And he said, out there is really quite ugly. He said, after years and years and years of not thinking, our streets, our architecture is a mishmash and is unthought. And so billboards are a part of that landscape, really, you know, and I think that's why maybe they hit so hard is you walk around out there and it's easier to be impactful and be beautiful. Yeah.
But it's also easier to be shit, isn't it? And awful and like kind of we had Anna in from Mother and she told us a brilliant story about Mother. Sorry, we'll crack back on in a minute, but by Mother there's a billboard paid for, proper pucker one right outside. Right. And they said they know that quite a lot of their clients buy it. So if you even do a remotely shit one, everyone's going to walk past your thing.
Yeah. Ouch. Now I know that. I'm going to buy my next fucking campaign outside their office.
Because, you know...
I'm not even joking.
Exactly. But
Anna.
I remember working with, when I was working with Adam, and you'd do like a few ads and there'd be a bit of a runt and a little. There shouldn't be, but you'd always go, I think we were quite young and naive, going, they'll never fucking run that one. And you know, sure as eggs is eggs. Yeah. That's the fun. They run the arse out of it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And people go, I saw that one with the nurse in it. Yeah, it wasn't very funny.
Yeah. No passengers, man. That's why you can't let that stuff go. Yeah, that's it.
There's so just before we get onto that, then, and in the same vein as the kind of beautifying outdoors, the outdoor space. When I did my stint on the Cannes jury, and we are going to get to Cannes in a minute, but at the beginning, the jury president kind of we collectively wrote this manifesto for what great work should look like in outdoors. And one of those things on that manifesto was the responsibility that we have as an industry, as we're not invited in by the public. We are in a public space. So we have a duty to the messaging, so making sure it's inclusive or whatever, and making sure we're not being offensive to any communities, but also making sure that it's beautiful. So that was the craft element of the stuff that we were judging. And I thought that was quite unique for outdoor, because for the most part you sit on juries and you flick through books and you kind of, it's subjective, right? You like the work or you don't like the work, and you're trying to either, or you're watching case studies of the work. And I think tying that back to the B&Q work, as you can see that this stuff has been thought about, and when we look at it in situ on posters, even that one under the tunnel, it beautifies that space, and it's something for people.
I would debate your thing. And forgive me, I'm a bit like this, but I appreciate you saying it. Thank you. But I think there's a danger to believing we are responsible in some ways, and don't take this the wrong way, but if we're responsible and we can't possibly, and we owe it to the public and all of those things, we're far more likely to make mediocre work because we're terrified of not provoking.
Okay, yeah.
And I kind of feel like the best work we make, arguably, I don't want people to hate our work, but I do want them to be moved by it, and I do want it to shock them on occasion. And I do on occasion, depending on the right brief, either want them to take a photo of it because they love it, or take a photo of it because they're outraged by it, or take a photo of it because it doesn't align with their values. And I think sometimes there's a bit too much talk of that, and I think clients in particular, that some clients are very good at going, well, our job's kind of just to slide through. And I'm like, that's the opposite of your job. Your job in marketing is not to slide through and be somehow present, but not really. Or, by the way, if that's your job, probably don't work with Uncommon. Like, some people want that. But you'd be amazed how many people do go and use the excuse of responsibility or an appropriateness for the public. Yet you look at what the public are ingesting in terms of their programming, in terms of the radical nature of the books they're reading, and it's far wider.
But wouldn't we say that appropriateness for the public comes in different levels? And that's we're talking about outdoor, so we can't talk about all people. We have to talk about audiences, and Brewdog's audience is going to be different to B&Q's audience, and different to Habito's audience.
But I think
Brewdog's a great example there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They want to go and poke people in the eye.
But it's still done in the Brewdog way, and there's a responsibility. There's still the responsible thing in the bottom and all that.
Of course,
but it's still a beautifully crafted piece of artwork that's gone on a wall, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where that's coming from. It's an interesting.
Yeah, because you're right. I think within the confines of the brand and how it behaves, that's sort of where you're going, isn't it? Rather than just, I think what you're, without trying to tell you what you're thinking, but I'm sort of with you in that you just don't want to see, we just don't want to see shit or bad work, and you don't want stuff that's going to, I think I like that, what you exactly just said, like stop people and like make them question something and actually throw them off a bit, but in the right way. Not like,
no. I get what you're saying now. Sorry, I mean, you're saying we have a responsibility not to put mediocre, overloaded, terrible messaging in front of them, ugly shit. I completely agree with that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I think that's the responsibility thing. Is like it's public, and so you need to you need to feel.
So we're just looking on what I suppose we call a third and fourth campaigns are from the James. I think James Day did the both, and James sat in that exact seat a few weeks ago. Funny enough, an orange seat. I've just realised. Isn't that brilliant? And I've got an orange background. But I thought
shooting some more with James as we speak.
Oh, good. Hello, James, if you're listening. What I thought overall, looking at the kind of the canon of work, it's still remarkably fresh, and it's now 4 years old, and it's still sort of saluting, build a life. How do you do that? Do they push you as a client, or do you that thing you kind of, it's really I'd be really interested to know, because sometimes it's an agency, you've got to keep going, and clients, I love it when they challenge agencies. Is it a mixture, or is it? A
lot of our clients challenge us, they really do. We get, genuinely in the right way. I'm not ashamed to say it, B&Q and even DJ at EA, our first meeting, he went, "Is this it?" And I was like, and basically called me afterwards and basically went, "Is this it?" And I was like, and he went, "Well, Uncommon, and I was like, "Fuck you."
When you say, "Is that it?" Like, as in the headlines?
I showed him all the work, and he was like, "Yeah, it's good," but it's like, "Is that really?" And I was like, "Fuck." Okay, I said, "Right, come back in a week. I'm gonna fucking sort this out."
I'm just the yellow orange sign.
Yeah. But we get pushed quite a lot, and I'll never forget that. I was like, "Oh, okay." And so we did get our asses kicked, but I think more than anything, B&Q are brilliant masters of whether we're taking ourselves a bit too seriously, or whether we've got enough levity, or whether we're being too. But the briefs have changed a bit on B&Q. We've got some other work coming up for later in the year. I wish I could show you, but it'll be as we head back into winter, ironically, and I think that's different again. But it's still same sentiment. You'll still get the same vibe, but totally different treatment. So I don't know. I could write for these guys forever.
The thing I liked about this was
It's funny how you get those clients, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think there's probably a bit of for you and your agency is the emotional attachment to them for
probably.
That's the turn a trajectory moment as well. We've got it with the client direct, and still when that brief comes in, there's a little butterfly that sets off.
I also feel like with them, I don't feel like this with every client. Like some clients, I feel like we finish our work and I go, okay, that is as good and as much as we're going to get. So great, move on. These guys, I still feel like I've scratched the surface.
Right. Okay.
If you can make a bit of wood dynamic, they make how many hundreds of millions of products? They have plants, they have homes, they have tools, they have trade point, they have, like all those conversations are attached to our lives in loads of ways. I'm like, man,
it looks like you're just getting started because
that's how it feels.
There's probably something in every room.
That's what I'm saying.
In the entire country from B&Q, right?
Think about plumbing. Think about all the gags we could have with plumbing. Like, anyway,
because I remember we're going to move on to the last one now. So this again, I was looking at it last night, and I was thinking, you could have said, there's tough times now, isn't it? Everything's expensive. Like I actually went to a garden centre the other day because me and the wife are quite into gardening.
You didn't go to a B&Q?
We didn't go to B&Q. No, but listen to this. This is what I fucking wished I had, right? I have got a point here. It's not just going down my own garden path. But we were going, oh my God, it's like, some scacky little plant for the roof terrace, like 54 quid. Yeah. And I'm going, you're fucking having a laugh. And and I kept thinking, we need to go home and give a bit more love to what we've got.
Yeah.
But, but I was surprised about, and everything's expensive now, food, drink, travel, and all that. So when I saw Prices Nailed, which is your latest work, I thought, you could. I wonder whether there was pressure on you, and they could have just gone, look, just fuck it, just do money, man. We're struggling, but you somehow, I don't know whether that was your conversation, but the TV in this is beautiful. The way stuff comes down, forms the hammer, and then in the print, it's just lovely. How did it come about? Because we haven't spoken to anyone about this yet, have we?
No.
Yeah. Well, it was a Prices brief, and to their credit, they didn't come in and say, make it shit, please. I think our industry, and even you'll have worked on loads of these, sometimes our gut reaction is, I know what they sort of need now. And we just wanted to challenge ourselves to give them something that was a bit better than that. There is really hard-working stuff, mainly in store, that, we'll have the hammer icon across it and it will work a bit harder. But the thing is the same, where we were just pushing ourselves to go, well, if we can speak to that rising prices, if we can speak to all of this, but do it in a very B&Q way, in an iconic way, doesn't that work even harder?
Yeah.
And that was the gag. And again, working with Dan to build that was just a pleasure. And
it's brilliant. Did the TV help in a way? Because you've done the house going upside down. They had to sort of, that ethereal feel to sort of work. It takes it away from just every day.
Well, I just think it was like, also, it's so easy to make a price message camouflage, actually, because there's so many of them. All of them were going, it's never been harder. If you could write the script now, it's never been harder for all of us with everything going up. That's why. And you're like, great. But you know it, don't you? You know,
that's like an AI generated one.
Yeah, that's it. I'll knock these out. Anyone just wants to give me 30 quid a pop, I'll give you that. But it was that, just trying to make it iconic again, trying to make it, beautiful. We were pushing for, there's one or two executions of this where we just had that running on its own, which was great. So we just literally had the hammer with the "you can do it," and it was
nice.
Pretty much all that.
Saw that as well. I didn't know I saw that. That looks fucking great.
Anyway, it was really good.
So I think that's kind of B&Q. I mean, we're gonna sort of bleed B&Q a bit into Cannes for a little bit of chat, but I think we should have this is like when I listen to my shit Man United podcast and they go, we'll be right back after part 2, and there's this terrible jingle that goes,
well, you've just done it now.
Well, just done it. So we've had a break. Is everyone need to have a drink? Are we cool enough? Because I think we'll just...
Lovely. Thank you for your
We wanted to talk about Cannes just briefly. Dan's going. I'm not. You'll be there, I imagine, Nils. So, we just had a few questions.
You've entered the B&Q work into outdoor?
Yep. That's in outdoor, and Flip is in film. Yeah, and there's a few bits.
What's the first question on our list? What sets Cannes apart? Is it apart from other shows?
Yeah, I think it is. I think shows are super interesting to talk about. And I have a love-hate relationship with them, like everybody does, I'm sure. At Grey, we started to do quite well. We didn't do well at first at Grey. We started to do quite well. And we didn't enter awards. And the reason we didn't was my first experience of Grey, when it was not a good place, was that everyone was obsessed with awards and they were all trying to win it. But that was getting in the way of the whole place changing.
Right.
Getting in the way of the work.
Yeah, getting in the way of everything. Like every conversation at Grey, and this is when they didn't have any clients and weren't winning any business and weren't making good work, was, how's it going to win an award? I'm like, guys, you don't need to win an award. You need a new set of clients.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you doing writing fictional ads for a client you don't have? Like, what are you doing? And so even when we then won some clients, I was really nervous about entering awards. And then I realised we're starting to do some quite good work. We're starting to get out there and nobody knows. Because if you don't win awards, you don't get known. So they are another advert for your company.
Yeah, and for clients. And
so love or hate it, when we started Uncommon. And the other thing I've learned about awards is you can't half play the game. You can't go, and I know lots of people who do this. well, we're sort of going to enter, but I kind of hate them and I'm sort of not into it, but I'm sort of going to enter. Now, that's, you mean you're just going to lose, right?
Yeah.
That's what you mean.
If you don't invest the time
Right.
in entering
Right.
it properly,
Right.
crafting your entire...
Yeah, so you're basically not entering.
Yeah.
So we were like, right, we are going to do it. We
Or
have
just
to do
throwing
it.
$6,000 in the bin.
Yeah,
whatever it
that's
is.
what I mean. You've thrown $6,500 in the bin for something you were a little bit ashamed to admit you didn't look at.
Yeah.
So you do have to do it. Can for me, and they are all different, and I think there's a real conversation around the world and juries and all the above as well. But Can is the global one for me.
Oh, we're definitely going there straight after this.
Yeah, great, great. But Can is the global one. If you smash Can, and I'd underestimated this as a Brit. I mean, growing up, D&AD was the thing you wanted to win.
Same.
I know we all know that, but I went to Can for the first few times with Gray, and we won big, and we won like a couple of Grand Prix there, and it was like, oh, some guy in Joburg's emailed me, and some guy in the States has emailed me, and it's like, okay. And you can't ignore that. And so if you go and smash Can and you do well there, you are speaking to the world. And I think that's undeniable. You know, whether you respect the level or whatever is irrelevant.
I agree. I think when we were kids, me and Adam, we it was all D&AD, and then Can was this sort of like mythical sort of faraway place, and someone said, oh, you know, you got a silver. Going, oh yeah, who went?
Yeah.
No one went. And now I would say it's the other way around. It feels. I don't know.
No, I think that's a good phrase. Let me add one last thing to it as well, which is the respect you apply to a show is dictated, I think, by the work it awards. And I think we used to be opening the pages, and this is an interesting question for everybody, not just us. I think you'd open the pages of D&AD and you used to see the iPod in there. You know, literally the iPod. And you'd see whatever. I actually think you're seeing that scale of work now in Can more. You're seeing big scale design projects. You're seeing genuine entertainment properties. These are the things that are winning at Can.
Yeah.
And so to some degree, and it used to be, by the way, set of 3 ads made in Argentina that never ran, the visual conundrum where a Lego person has the same head as, whatever. And you'd all go, oh, that's clever. And it'd never run. And we all know it's bullshit. That doesn't happen anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, scam ads. They've worked. I mean, there's probably a job for AI in there as well. But there's you've done Can jury.
Yeah.
So there's that whole section of the training on scam advertising and how to spot it and.
But I think you used to be able to throw rocks at them.
Yeah.
You used to be able to throw rocks at them and go, but 50% of that stuff's guff. I sort of don't think that's true now. I think you see campaigns get engineered, by the way, to come out in time to enter Can.
Yeah.
That's kind of different. But annoyingly, they do run. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it is a bit of a game, but I think, like you said, if you're in it, you got to be fully. I'm not meaning cheat or do that stuff, because I think you're right. And in the old days, it was like the logo would be like tiny, and you'd go, "What a visual? Or was it a visual coincidence or something?"
Yeah.
Paul Silburn coined a brilliant phrase, right?
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think it's cleaned up, and I think you're right. A Can gets you around the world.
Yeah, it
People
does.
talk to you, don't they?
It does.
So canvas, a line versus a pencil.
Oh.
You can move. You can just get AI to answer that if you want.
I sort of don't want to. I love D&AD. I think anyone who's of a certain age in our game has an innate relationship with D&AD. And I think, I was with I met a guy in Sweden who's a brilliant guy called Bjorn Stahl. He made the Swedish number, made the Moldy Whopper.
I love the numbers,
He's a rock star, man. He's like excellent. I worked with him in the great. And he came to me and he said, Nils, you've got 2 black pencils. I've got 2. I'm going to win a 3rd one before you. And that was his opening comment, like in 10 minutes.
Nice.
And I was like, fuck, so whatever I think, it doesn't fucking matter. People love a pencil. I think they have this blast radius of being the thing that's harder and more crafted and whatever.
Yeah.
I do think in latter years, and I think it's easy to say this, but I do think we should all have a look and go, is that show still indicative of the type of work we associate it with? I liked this year that they didn't chuck around a load of black pencils, because I don't know what they'd have thrown them at.
Yeah.
And and the only thing I would say for D&AD is I kind of am rooting for them clearly in some sense, but I think they've also got to find a way to getting the best thinkers of our time in and out of our industry to enter it.
Yeah.
Luke Hall Studios should be in there. We should have legitimate programming in there. You should have, and so I think these are the things we want to salute.
Yeah.
And so I think the things that do win big there, I worry about it a bit. But.
Do you, on Can, do you feel like there's anything just coming up to date? Is there any outdoor that you've seen in our country that you think will do well?
Probably. I mean, it's difficult.
Your own stuff, but because
let's see.
Yeah.
I think there is some out of home that people are sending around. I think shows also love to award what's awarded at other shows. It gets juries out of hot water. So I think, you know, you're going to see, it's very rare you see people go to bat for something out of the blue, you know.
I think there's, in jury rooms, there is definitely peer pressure. Well, I saw this, it's done well at another show, and I've seen this before, and kind of the first person to pipe up, and that it does happen. And it's such a shame because...
But that can go either way, because they can go, oh, it's won all that, so let's not give it anything, or it's won all that, so we should give it. You know, it's sort of, it shouldn't come into the combo. It should just be judge the work.
If you're entering it into an awarding body, then that jury should be looking at it in isolation, and it shouldn't be well, it did really well at the one show, or it did really well at the
I would like to big up Jez and what he's doing at Creative Circle very briefly, because whether you love or hate those juries too, he's gone. There's a gap now, which is the UK view of creativity.
Yeah, totally.
Now, whatever you want to say, by the way, D&AD is built on that. So all this stuff about D&AD and whatever we've eulogized in the past, it's built on a pretty much UK view of design and art direction. And as a result, I think that's why as tastemakers, the rest of us, because we've grown up with it, are going, oh my God, it's brilliant. Now they've widened that aperture and it's become more homogenous, arguably. Jez, what he's trying to do, I think, with the Creative Circle is get back to a bit of that. I'm not saying UK is better or worse. I'm just saying it's a sentiment where you go, everyone was coming from the same level, from the same viewing point.
The nicest thing is that pre-judging bit with 600 people from across our industry. There's a bit of there's a community aspect to it. Yeah. And then there's the jury room.
But also, it reminds me of, doing a shit analogy, I suppose, but Golden Globes, you know, like, oh yeah, got something at Golden Globes, but, you know, we won't get an Oscar or a D&AD. But I kind of go, that's all right. I remember when we were younger, we'd always try and sneak something into D&AD, into Creative Circle, because you go, oh, we definitely won't get something at D&AD. But if you go into Creative Circle, it's a bit more punk, it's a bit more like, you know, and I think you're right. He's had some funny years. But he's now got it right back. It's got identity, and its tagline is about the oldest British thing.
I kind of just think he deserves a bit of credit. I think
so as well.
Yeah, I think he's good.
Such a lovely man as well,
and some amazing shirts.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you the other hard thing I'd love to ask you guys about with just juries and all that stuff. And I hate how much we're going down a rabbit hole, but I also think it's necessary. Is a show like a category or like a studio or like an agency should set an agenda for what it believes in. Now, I think there used to be clear agendas and you'd see them differently. D&AD was more design-led in some ways, or even craft-led or something. It had an edge and it had a depth and it had an intelligence that marked it apart from Cannes. They were both valid, but one was definitely it. I think with the arrival of massively global juries, and I think with the speed and the amount of awards, they've all lost that a bit, which is watch this show versus that show now.
But it's also a massive business. Cannes... The Lions Festival is a huge business, and
they all are. D&AD is now.
D&AD is big.
I think you're right, because at least just going back to your point about Creative Circle, they've definitely got a point of difference. And actually, D&AD, there's a clue in the title. You know, design and art direction doesn't actually say much about writing, but you know, us writers might get mentioned.
Is D&AD a not-for-profit? Is it a business-ish?
But then
they have Shift, which is excellent,
right?
You know,
but then Cannes, I always thought was this amazing place you can go to. Obviously, it's more than that, but you can't go to D&AD. You can, it's sort of judged in a place, you know. But Cannes it's a you envisage the place,
and the Creative Circle was Margate, right?
Or even D&AD are trying with Brick Lane and all that. But I kind of look. I do have an innate love for it, but I just wish somehow and. Even as a president, I've been a president of shows before. You can't really set an agenda like that. You can write some think piece in a magazine. Yeah. That's not the same as the show believing in and appraising a certain type of work. Yeah. You're as good as the jury.
Here's your starting point. Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm saying is, imagine you were able to reset slightly a show like that and give it that tilt. I think that's what we're missing.
Yeah. Hey, how about a new award show? No, that's
right. I'll do that. God, just sell a kidney.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Are we done?
Well, so just in terms of. Let's make a prediction because we could affect the jury.
Man City won't win the treble. Bollocks! Good.
I was going to say making predictions of what might win at Cannes, but they'll still be in the jury room on Saturday, which will be out on Friday. That's true. So maybe we should affect the jury room.
Well, can I say good luck to both of you in your respective campaigns? I'm sure.
Thanks.
And also, are you both going? You're going to see each other?
Yeah.
Don't worry.
We'll definitely do something.
Yeah. Don't worry, I won't be there. It's fine.
We'll FaceTime you in.
That'd be the best thing in the world.
Floating about on a boat.
On a boat, yeah.
Yes.
I bet you won't have Elderflower cordial as good as you've had today.
That was delicious. Thank you.
That was really good.
Well, thank you, Nils.
Yeah, thanks for coming
guys.
in. Yeah. So good.
Awesome.
It was really good to talk to you.
Yeah, please come back again and talk.
Always after Cannes.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks. thank you again to our amazing guest and to my pod pal, partner in crime, Hugh, for today. Please make sure that you subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. Keep listening and liking us on social, and we'll see you next time.